There are at least two major forces at work within the world today. There's the forces of what I'll call international socialism, who believe in two things: the establishment of a government throughout and over all the world, in the various forms it takes, such as the United Nations, the OECD controlling international currency and international flow of funds, and a variety of organizations, even like the European Union, that are consolidating larger and larger geopolitical units, as opposed to the ethnic nationalists, who are basically the traditional and conservative-minded people who have certain values beyond money and beyond the idea of international commerce itself. What's going on in the world today can be seen quite clearly in the dissolution of, for example, the European Union, where Greece and Italy and probably Spain and Portugal and perhaps Ireland have made the European currency really untenable, except for the massive transfer of wealth from the resource and manufacturing production regions of Europe to those areas that are not as productive but demand the basic equalization of German production with Greek demands, for instance, by way of example. But contrary to that internationalist trend, there is a growing movement for independence among various ethnic groups, particularly, for example, in Belgium, where the French-speaking Walloons and the Flemish-speaking or Dutch-speaking Flemish element are completely at loggerheads, and the government is totally deadlocked. This demonstrates the failure of a bicultural society that's existed since about 1814 or 1813, so that you can paper over these divisions, but they don't disappear. This is true in Canada, particularly between Quebec and the rest of the country, but it's even more economically and culturally significant between Ontario and Western Canada. I'll expand upon that later, as I have on other video commentaries, but one of the most striking examples of the development of ethnic nationalism occurred in Barcelona on July 10th, 2010. That was the very day when 1 million people were on the streets of Barcelona. 1 million people. And I have a picture here from the Times columnist of that day showing the just enormous crowd of people in the center of Barcelona. What were they seeking? Well, they were seeking for the residents of Catalonia, which was a region of Spain, a separate nation. This demonstrates what I think is more natural. The smaller nations, closer to the people governed, truer to their language and culture, and in fact more preservative of their environment and of their natural resources. There is nobody better able to decide how to govern ourselves than those immediately around us, and predominantly where we have a voice. You don't have a voice in Canada from Western Canada because Ontario and Quebec control the electoral system. You don't have a voice within the European Union because any single country basically is outvoted by all the rest. And once the majority have learned how they can vote themselves lethargy, you see the failure of democracy. And this is what's happened in the European Union. It's happening in any equalization process. That's why I say it's very important to realize that the wave of the future is in favor of small nations, ethnically homogeneous nations, such as Western Canada, with a common language and developing a common culture. In areas like Catalonia in Spain, or the Basque region for that matter, or, for another example, the difference between Czechs and Slovaks, which became, of course, two separate countries. These are developments which are indicative, along with Scottish nationalism, of the trend towards smaller nations and ethnic homogeneity. This is not an unnatural, unreasonable, or even disagreeable trend, but to the international socialist, it is the enemy. It is that which many international socialists wish to vilify, and we, on the other hand, wish to demonstrate that smaller nations yearning to be free are far less dangerous to the world than megalithic powers who take it upon themselves to build empires and to enslave and oppress, and in some cases murder, vast numbers of people of alien culture or different cultures in different parts of the world. It's better that we stay home, cultivate our own land, and look after our own development than we should invade countries like Afghanistan or Iraq or any of the Middle Eastern countries to make whatever purpose there may be, so far from home, so remote to our own interests, that it's really counterproductive. Therefore, I say, if we free the West, we will build a better world, a world truer and freer to our heritage and culture, and we will indeed preserve and protect our land and environment far better than Ottawa or any distant multinational corporation can ever do. Free the West, build the best. Thank you.